Larry P. Arnn is the 12th president of Hillsdale College. He received his BA from Arkansas State University and his MA and PhD in government from the Claremont Graduate School. He served as director of research for Sir Martin Gilbert, the official biographer of Winston Churchill. From 1985 to 2000, he served as president of the Claremont Institute for the Study of Statesmanship and Political Philosophy. In 1996, he was the founding chairman of the California Civil Rights Initiative, or Proposition 209. This was passed by California voters, and it prohibited racial preferences in state hiring, contracting, and admissions. He is on the board of directors of the Heritage Foundation, the Henry Salvatori Center of Claremont McKenna College, and the Claremont Institute. He served on the U.S. Army War College Board of Visitors for 2 years, for which he earned the Department of the Army's Outstanding Civilian Service Medal. He is a member of the American Political Science Association, the Mont Pelerin Society, the International Churchill Society, and the Philanthropy Round Table. Published widely in national newspapers, magazines, and periodicals on issues of public policy, history, and political theory, he is the author of Liberty and Learning, The Evolution of American Education, and The Founder's Key, The Divine and Natural Connection Between the Declaration and the Constitution and What We Risk by Losing It. He is currently writing a book on statesmanship and the constitutionalism of Sir Winston Churchill. Dr. Arnn is a professor of politics and history at Hillsdale. He teaches courses on Aristotle, Winston Churchill, and on the American Constitution. He and his wife Penelope have 4 children, Henry, Katie, Alice, and Tony. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Larry Arnn.
Thank you, Jim Holloman and the chamber chorus. I leaned over to the provost. I have the vice of whispering to the provost during ceremonies because he's a tremendous man and we're friends. And I said, you know, it's a big day, and here we did it again. We put the first team on the field. Thank you, David. I'll tell you a story about him. He leaned over and whispered to me that he had a moment of panic when Matthew introduced the subject of the end of a horse. He doesn't seem all that smart sometimes, does he? Thank you, Morgan. I just noticed, and I can't help but comment, that Morgan's mother sits right there. And of course, Dugan, the next one to come, and after that, Maverick, and after that, Winston are coming. They're all sitting there. Cleves is not here. I don't know what that's about. But the thing that's worth noting is Isaac, the worthless undergraduate who dates Morgan, is sitting by Morgan's mother. And that must mean that boy's getting really ambitious. Stand up, Isaac, so they can see. Now, you've seen Morgan and you've seen Isaac. Can't you join me in saying, no way, that's going to work out? And I apologize for Matthew and for the college. If he gets his 4-point this year, he'll be the 6th person in 21 years to do it. But forget about the end of the horse. I have, on more than one occasion, heard him in the last 12 months abusing the personal pronoun with the wrong case. What's he doing? He can't get a 4 if he does that. Actually, Morgan and Matthew are tremendous people, and it's a privilege to work with them. And I bet there's a lot just like them sitting out there among our new class. Would the parents of the members of the class of 2018 stand up so we can see you, please? Thank you. I give you the warmest welcome. I have a hard thing to say and a happy thing to say to you. The hard thing is that I'm almost done now. And when I'm done, then we're going to dismiss, and your kid's going to walk up there and join a bunch of people, and you're not going to see them anymore. Before that happens, you're going to stand up and make a pledge. That's going to be sentimental. It is very. And if you watch, and I urge you not to, you're going to see that your kid is very happy. And when he comes home, or she, the first time, they're likely to slip and mention that in a certain number of days they're about to go back home, and that will strike at the heart. And my wife and I have 4 children, and I join you in that misery. But of course, here I'm on the good end of the transaction. But there's compensation for that because you're here. And here is a very unusual place in a way I'm going to explain to your children in just a minute. And one of the things about it is we do ask you to make a commitment during this ceremony. And that's because we need and we welcome your help. One of the advantages of not taking any money from the federal government is that we are liberated to talk to you about your child. I urge you to come to Parents Weekend. You'll get to meet the people who teach your child. If there's trouble and we think you need to know, we'll call you. If you call us, we'll answer your questions. The main work is to be done with your child, between him or her and us. And you have to remember that, and you have to do your part. One of the key things is, if we have a dispute with your child, which is very unlikely, you have to take our side. You can find out later if we're right, and if we're wrong, we'll correct it. But the first thing to say, well, you're an idiot to the kid. And we're going to make that work, I promise. It's our relations with the parents are joyful. I like to say in my work, I've become an excellent judge of kid flesh and an excellent judge of parent flesh. I'm used to the mothers who interrupt when you're teasing their child and asking them questions they can't answer. And then I'm used to the only other kind there is, and that's the ones that twitch but don't quite do that. And I want you to know you're very welcome here, and we're so glad to have you. Now, there are 2 things you freshmen need to know, and they're dispositive of the case. Things are the way they are here for reasons that are written in our natures, and we can't get rid of them. There really are 2 that you should know. The first is the word college means partnership. Nobody thinks of it that way anymore. It's a scene of diversity and difference and self-expression. But the word literally means partnership, and that's because of something in the middle of us, something about us. Matthew, despite his poor grammar, and his metaphor about the horse was either inartful or very artful. And if it was artful, then he's a naughtier boy than I know him to be. But his talk, as was Morgan's, was brilliant. He's okay, he's pretty smart, and he works hard. And what he says is you're a kind of thing, and that kind of thing makes you able to talk. And talking is just the verbal, tangible expression of a thing that's proceeding in your soul. Because we can talk, we can think in a way that we think. We can know man and God and horse and boy and child and parent. And because we can know those things, that's also why we can talk. And so this is a thing that is made for us to do together. And you will find that it's just a fact, especially by the time you get to be seniors. I ask you to begin to reflect on this now when you watch how things work. You will find that your friends, as Morgan said and as Matthew said, and by the way, no grown-up had a hand in the writing of what they had to say, nor read it in advance, except, of course, all the grown-ups sitting right there, they all did. Welcome back, faculty, and welcome the 10 new members of the faculty. And what they know is they have benefited massively from the work and the help and the reasoning of everybody here, especially fellow students, because they clarify things together, and they live together, and they eat together. That's what a college is. And the first thing you have to know is the reason we've asked you to sign this honor code is because this is just a fact. And to the extent that this fact is not realized in actual practice, to that extent the college is diminished. And that means nobody here is ever going to say to the expression, you are only hurting yourself. Welcome to the partnership. The second thing is the human soul works this way. Knowledge to us is not really a possession we can keep unless we sustain the activity of it. So a long time ago, I studied Greek. I wasn't a genius like the people in our classics, but I got along a ways. And then I stopped for 30, 40 years now. And I just regret that so much because I don't know it. I can read the words, but what do they mean? I can parse a few out, right? Wouldn't it be great to know that? It's one of my ambitions, if I ever retire, which I might not. I'll probably just fall over. I'd like to study Greek. And you know, they can teach it down there, those guys, and I've extracted promises from them that they will teach it to me. And, you know, get a chance to get back at me somehow. But what does that mean for you? What that means is you have to commit to live a certain way, beginning now and not ending. That means cramming to get an A is not the heart of the matter. You can do that if you want to. You won't get it anyway. But the heart of the matter is to raise yourself to a being that knows what it is and what it is for, and can compare itself to the beast below and God above, and give meaning to those conceptions. And so the point is, everything here is organized to produce that effect among everyone here. And that's hard. And we don't fancy that that's hard because we set high standards. We don't think we have any power to set the standards. We think the standards just turn out to be high. And it's our business to meet them. And we're here to help you do that. But you must help because the main work is yours. So get your boots on. There's a lot to do. You should also know it's joyful. Joyful for me in particular, and I'll tell you why. The thing about 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds too, some of the charm comes off by the time they're seniors. But they've got to this place in life where they can do anything that we grown-ups can do. They just never have done it before. And so they don't have any experience whatsoever. And so, like their pranks are often incredibly foolish, but also so often are their serious attempts. And that's because they're learning how. And you think we don't laugh about that around here? And they laugh with each other all the time. I mean, Morgan just told about 2 near-death experiences. And she thinks they're kind of funny now. You know, because death doesn't mean anything to her. It's so distant. And you know, more than that joy of watching the young and the foolish become older and less foolish, that's very joyful. And you will feel the strength within you grow. That's the real thing, though, isn't it? Because when you see a thing that you have longed to understand and add that to the other things you learn, step by step by step, you become truly and fully human, truly and fully good. Understand the weight of the fact that what you're about to undertake is not typical. We have 2,700 competitors, and these freshmen are all smart enough to get into all but maybe 30 or 40 of them. And most of the freshmen are smart enough to get into them too. And so you've come here, I know, for the weather. But it's a very different experience here. We're going to read a bunch of old books, and we're going to read a bunch of new books, and we're going to read the natural sciences. And we're going to discover that those books don't agree with one another. And we're going to have the patience and the energy to try to understand each one as it was written, and try to reach an understanding of our own, of the things that are good, and the things that are true, and above all, the things that are beautiful, which my colleague, Professor Jackson, tells me the other night, smoking cigars, I confess it, that he has redefined the term beautiful as the difficult. And he means that because you're too young to know beauty yet. You just have to look at it as difficult. Later, it will be beautiful. And the knowing of those things was regarded for 2,500 years as the ultimate fulfillment of college, and that is largely discarded. I don't exaggerate. In colleges today, and you know what's funny? That is behind the changes in our government, which the college has always had an interest in. That building up there, the old one, was dedicated on the 4th of July in 1853. Because we thought those laws of nature and of nature's God meant something. What we thought they meant in particular was that you couldn't put a collar around the neck of a man, you could around the neck of a horse. See, Matthew, that's how you do it. You talk about the front part of the horse. And so the college is known in every corner of the land, and you have come from every corner of the land, and it is known for that thing. And yet we swim in the academic sea. And your students have gone to high schools that are likely affected by those doctrines without knowing that there are alternatives. And our students will leave and go to professional school and graduate school, and those places are dominated by those doctrines in the main. And so there's a pressure here all the time, a pressure of difference. And that's good for us. Also taxing upon us. We feel the weight of it all the time, and you will too. And yet we count that then. And remember this point, and let that be another bind to our friendship. The fact that we carry this on in defiance and without circumventing the arguments but taking all of them seriously, we think that that is a vital service to the world, to the country, to all of our fellow citizens. Why on earth somebody try to make an ugly car sound like a Harley Davidson? Which is not an ugly thing. If we're to do that, and if it's true that we're to do that together, for the sake of your child, first to you parents, for the sake of your fellow students and yourself and the college, for the sake of to you freshmen, and to all of us in the college community, for the purposes for which the college was founded, then my last point is very simple. We're going to have to be friends. We're going to have to learn about each other, and we're going to have to love each other. And on behalf of the college, I promise that to you with a heartfelt welcome.